bring in tonight's panel, Fox News contributor Leslie Marshall and Texas Public Policy Foundation VP Chuck DeVore. Welcome to both of you. Leslie, it's kind of interesting when DeSantis sends migrants to a sanctuary city, which is Sacramento. It's kidnapping, according to Governor Gavin Newsom. But when the Democrats, the Biden administration, sends migrants all over the country to, Scranton, Pennsylvania, to Westchester County, to Jacksonville, Florida, it's humane. It's actually done in a very different way, and that's why. If you look at the forms that people are filling out, and the majority of them are not English speaking, the forms are in English. 1, 2, they don't have translators provided, and the federal government does do that. They have they have Spanish and other languages. They have interpreters that are there. So what you have, especially when you went to Martha's Vineyard, and that's why you have a Texas sheriff citing criminal charges. This is not a lawsuit like the others that have been thrown out. You mean the people that were kicked off Martha's Vineyard in 12 hours that were sent back to the people that were sent to Martha's Vineyard was sent there under false pretenses. But the bigger picture is this. These are human beings. And one of the things as a former Christian that blows my mind, when you talk about refuge, that's all over the Bible. And in Texas, you have these huge mega churches, right? Mega churches that have plenty of room to help some of these people, rather than ship them to very small places like Martha's Vineyard that don't physically have the capacity. But the bigger bottom line is this doesn't do anything to solve the immigration crisis. It's a political stunt losing people. It's interesting to me because, one, they had reporters at the Sacramento airport. They were there. They talked to these people. The people were fine. They wanted to be there. They signed the documents. The documents were interpreted for them. All of the stuff Leslie says they were not. The LA Times, by the way, I know they're left, but this is fascinating. I want you to read this. This is, it says, DeSantis and GOP Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who bust migrants to Vice President Kamala Harris' home in Washington last year, are ostensibly trying to make a statement against President Biden's border policies, which Republicans claim are creating an open border. The reality is that the border is highly guarded and fortified by walled areas, and there aren't many legal ways for people to migrate. Any homework, LA Times, on this? Chuck, your thoughts?
Well, it's interesting, Trace, because what's just happened in the last few days is the Biden administration is allowing up to 10,000 illegal immigrants, would-be migrants, to come in per day at the 8 official border crossings. That's 30,000 a month, 360,000 3.6 million per year. I think it's actually 100,000 a month, 3.6 million a year. So what you're looking at is an enormous amount of people under these changed rules. And so what I think you're seeing with Gavin Newsom, who's presiding over a dumpster fire of a state named California right now, is a precursor to the 2024 presidential election, because nobody in their right mind thinks that President Biden is actually going to be the Democratic nominee. And so he's queuing up his attacks on Governor DeSantis just in case it ends up being the two of them running against each other in 2024. Yeah, and speaking of the Democratic side of the aisle, Nikki Haley warns a vote for Biden is a vote for Kamala Harris. And here is Karine Jean-Pierre with a big endorsement of the vice president. Watch.
So, going to be really careful. 2024, not going to speak to 2024 from here. What I can speak to, what I'll say more broadly, is that the vice president has been a partner. Has been a partner to this president. You've heard him say that multiple times.
She's a partner. I mean, that's a rousing endorsement for her. I got about 15 seconds for you and Chuck each, Leslie.
I don't think Donald Trump had any love for Mike Pence. You stick with your team.
Does he not have love? Are you saying he doesn't have love for Kamala Harris?
I'm not saying he doesn't have love for Kamala Harris. I'm simply saying it actually makes it worse for your campaign if you split your ticket at this point.
Chuck, final thoughts?
I don't think you're going to see Biden or Harris on the Democratic national ticket in 2024. I think you're going to see this team swapped out because it's got electability problems.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have echoed that. Chuck DeVore, Leslie Marshall, thank you both.